12 years ago, I started teaching others how to trade just for the heck of it, and it ended up turning into a business. A few years ago, I started a Trading Coach podcast just for fun, and it ended up turning into another revenue stream. So here's the thing. If I can do it, and you guys know me, then anyone can. Find something you're passionate about, share your knowledge or your experiences, and start a show using Spotify. Why Spotify? Well, because they make it super easy to record, edit, schedule, and monetize all from your computer or even your phone. And best of all, it's free. So get started today at Spotify.com/podcasters or download the Spotify for Podcasters app. And hey, if you need any help with podcast ideas or topics, let me know. I'll help you out. There's a great quote that says, "Time is our most valuable asset, yet we tend to waste it, kill it, and spend it rather than invest in it." Today, we're going to talk about the importance of time and how to position yourself so that you're in a better place tomorrow than you were today. Now, today's episode isn't going to be trading specific, but I want to remind you guys that a few weeks ago, we did a 4-day workshop called the Cyber Trader Workshop. It was a massive hit, massive success, our first live workshop in, I think, about 2 or 3 years. And, well, I got some good news for you. Thanks to popular demand, we have brought back the recordings. We are going to offer them and have them available until the end of November. So make sure you check your emails. That email should have came out already. If not, make sure you check out the link in the description box here on the show so you can sign up, get that free workshop, and improve yourself as a trader. Now, today's topic came from a recent discussion I had with my best friend, right? And it's my best friend. He is my business partner. He's actually the guy that got me into trading. And although we went kind of separate paths at the beginning in our interests, right, we're kind of back on the same page. He mainly works in longer term investments and options trading. You guys know me. I do investing as well, but my main deal is Forex. And we both share a few businesses together as well. And I was having a conversation with him in a car ride. We were going up to close a real estate deal, and we were kind of catching up on both the business side and the family side as well, since we're both in the same situation with a few different kids. And he's ventured into a few other businesses, not just the investing, not just the options trading. He's a manager of a store as well, but he's also gotten into a credit repair business. So I'm not sure if credit is the same thing everywhere over the earth, but think about like credit being like your status when it comes to your availability to receive money, whether it's financial loans from banks, whether it's credit cards, stuff like that. If you have good credit, which is, trust me, a must, people will throw money at you whenever you need it. If you have bad credit, it's going to be very, very hard to get loans and whatnot. So he works with people who have poor credit, maps out a plan for them to repair their credit, to get good credit, to start using other people's money, and then basically help them develop businesses and whatnot. It's really, 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 really cool. And we were talking about the process of business and the impatience that people have. We're talking about our kids as well, but the impatience that we have with people that we work with in the business. So I tell them all the time about traders I work with where we come in, we'll do a presentation, like, the Cyber Trader Workshop, for example, and we'll say that, hey, welcome to the trading journey. This is going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of effort. But if you work hard, in about 9 to 18 months, there's a chance you can be a successful trader. And, we get a lot of people that are locked in. They're like, yeah, let me do it. I'm ready to invest and blah, blah, blah. But there's always that handful of people that are like 9 to 18 months. So you're telling me that I won't be successful. I won't see the potential of getting money until like 2 years from now, a year and a half from now. We're like, yeah. And they're like, well, can it come quicker? I can't do that, blah, 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 blah. And he does the same thing with the credit repair, where he's like, hey, it's going to take time to repair your credit, right? You just can't kind of do this magic fix and boom, you're set free. It's going to be a process of step 1, step 2, step 3. But if you look 2, 3, 4 years in the future, you can dig yourself out of that hole. And a lot of people that he speaks to are like, 2, 3 years, that's too much time. And we do the same thing with our kids as well. Both of us are teaching our kids about investments. We're trying to say, hey, like if we give you allowance or money for whatever odd job you do around the house, don't just go out and spend it, right? Don't just save it and put it into account, right? Invest it in something, because the investments that you make now will pay off very fruitfully in the future. And, we've learned this from personal experience. The deal that we're going to close on was a real estate property that we closed for, I think, $16,000. I don't know how many years ago. We only put about, I think, 7 or 8 into it as far as repairs and general maintenance. And we basically, 4x the return. No, more than that. 4 or 5x the return on that property over the years that we hold it, or hopefully if everything goes through correctly. Knock on wood, the money hasn't been wired in yet, but if everything goes through correctly. We also spoke about the investments that we had in the past that we kind of gave up early on. And we always, in hindsight, we're like, man, I wish I would have bought this. I wish I would have done that. I wish if I only knew now then what I know now, I would have had so much money. And that's part of getting old. We're wise, and we try to embark that knowledge in our children as well, where it's like, hey, just consistently put your allowance money into this fund, and then it doesn't mean anything for you now, but by the time you're 18, by the time you're 21, trust me when I say it's going to be worth millions of dollars. And millions of dollars is going to be different then than it is now as well. But the point is, you'll be able to look back in the past and be like, man, I'm glad I started. And for the people that have excuses for not getting started, for not doing it, it takes too long, stuff like that. I would say this to you, right? And we're taking out the equation any unforeseen tragic death or anything like that. If I'm telling you that it's going to take you a year to do something, if I'm telling you it's going to take 2 years to do something, if I'm telling you it's going to take 5 years to do something, I understand that is a long period of time. I understand that it's a lot of patience. I understand that a lot of us aren't thinking forward enough to even envision what 5 years. Some of you guys aren't thinking what's happening 5 minutes from now. You're living your present, right? But here's the deal. A year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, it's going to come no matter what. You cannot stop it, right? Time is going to tick. Trust me. I've been doing a lot of study on physics and stuff like that, and quantum mechanics and the fourth dimension and time travel, and I have not been able to accomplish it, right? So we cannot slow down time as of the recording of this podcast. We cannot go back in time. Time is going to tick no matter what. And the truth is, that year from now, that 2 years from now, that 5 years from now is coming no matter what. And there is absolutely nothing you can do about it. So you need to find comfort in that, acceptance in that, and then ask yourself this question. Okay, if I can't stop time from ticking, right? If I can't stop from aging, time from going forward, right? Why am I making excuses not to do something that's going to benefit me, right? Wouldn't I rather, because the way I see it, you have two choices. Wouldn't I rather advance 5 years, look back and be like, man, I'm in a much better position than I am right now, versus have 5 years pass and be in a worse position or the same position, and then still saying that, oh, I'm going to get started, and then pushing that 5 years forward, right? The sooner you get started, the sooner you can start your progression. The more you procrastinate, right, you're just going to push that time that it takes you to become successful or fix whatever you need to fix or invest whatever you need to invest with. You're just going to push it forward, and things are going to get more expensive. It's going to get harder. And the older you get, trust me, the harder it is to do this stuff. And a great example, and I'm a big visual person, and if you're not listening to this in a car or something like that, I want you to do this, right? You can pause it if you want. I want you to grab a piece of paper. You're going to need a piece of paper. You're going to need a writing utensil. And you're going to need something that you can measure a straight line. So a ruler, the edge of a book. I'm using a tissue box right now. Whatever you can find to draw a straight line. Or if you're good, draw it by yourself. But I want you to practice this, because this is, when you can actually write stuff down, you retain it more, right? I was speaking to a trader the other day where I always told him that a lot of the old school traders I spoke to said that the best way they learned how to read price action was to literally get some graph paper and draw out candle by candle, looking at the news each day to open, high, close, low, and it gives them all the information they need. And I had a trader reach out to me, he shared with me a chart and said, hey, I did this and I love it. And I'm like, dude, you are amazing. I always talk about it. I've never done it because I don't have the patience, but he did it. He said it worked, and it connected, the numbers connected with him in a different way. So if you're serious, I want you to do this, right? I'm kind of filibustering so you have time to grab your stuff, but I want you to do this and think about the impact it has. And this is going to be the power of 1% change, 1 degree change, whatever you want to call it. So I want you to take that paper, I want you to hold it in landscape mode. So I want you to make it wide. And I want you to draw just maybe 3 equal columns, right? Divide that paper into 3, draw 3 equal columns, so 3 vertical lines down that paper, right? So you should have it horizontally. The paper should be horizontal. You should have 3 vertical lines, so 3 different segments, right? So think about each of those segments being, let's say, a year. Right? So the one closest to the right, make that year 1. The one in the middle, make that year 2. The one on the left, make that year 3. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to take a dot. I want you to take your pencil or pen, make a dot at right in the middle of the very right-hand side of your paper. So get as close to the edge as possible, right kind of in the middle of it, on that right-hand side, and just draw a dot. I know this is horrible without visually seeing this, but try your best. So you should have a dot on the far right-hand side, right next to the edge, kind of right in the middle of that paper, right? Now, I want you to draw lines, right? This is going to be a horizontal line directly, and this is where if you have a tissue box or a ruler, you can use this or a book. I want you to draw a line straight from that dot, horizontally, from right to left across that page, right? That is your timeline. So the dot is your starting point. That is where you're at right now in your life. And I want you to draw a horizontal line from right to left across that paper. And what you'll notice is as you go across those zones, right, you have your now, which is your dot. You have your year 1, which you're in the exact same place. You go through your year 2, which is the middle, you're in the exact same place. You get to your year 3 and beyond, and you're in the exact same place. That is you doing nothing. That is you doing talk without actions, right? I spoke to multiple people yesterday. This is going to sound like a shameless plug, but it's not. But I spoke to multiple people yesterday about ways to supplement their income. And I told them about podcasting, right? And I told them that I use Spotify for podcasters. It's a quick, easy place where you can do everything from one source. You can record, you can edit, you can schedule, and you can monetize your podcast all from the comfort of your phone, your desktop, or your laptop. Spotify for podcasters, right? You hear the thing at the beginning of each Trading Coach podcast, right? But one of my biggest regrets about that is that I was so stubborn for years saying that I'm not going to have any ads for my podcast. I'm not going to have any ads for my podcast, right? And I woke up one day, and it probably came from a conversation with Jason Greystone, who's like, if there's a way to make money, like, why not make it? And this is kind of the old stubborn, like, non-entrepreneur, because I don't consider myself an entrepreneur, even though I am, because my I don't know. I worry about certain things, and I don't want to make you guys upset because I'm having ads, and I don't want to disrupt the experience. But at the same time, I am putting in work to create this podcast. Like, why not get paid off it if I can? Like, why not make an extra X amount a month if I can? Like, why would I turn down free money? And I had that kind of light bulb go off after speaking to Greystone. I'm like, yeah, I should monetize it. And I look at how much my podcast makes a month now. And then I realized, like, man, I was doing my podcast for about 2 years without monetizing it. What if I would have done this from the beginning? Like, what would that number, because this number exponentially increases over time because of the amount of podcasts that are at, and you get paid off a certain amount of views or listens, whatever it is. And there are, almost episode 900, there's probably about, 600 episodes without ads? And I'm looking back like, oh man, like I should have been here in year 1. And then in year 2, I could have been here. I left all this money on the table, right? So I went straight. Now, going back to the paper, right? Anyway, I was telling people, start a podcast right away, do it, get the ball rolling, easy way to supplement your income, blah, 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 blah. But look, going back to the paper, right? Because this is off topic. I want you to start with that dot again, right? Now, I want you to take your ruler, your tissue box, your book, whatever you're using. If you have a protractor, even better. But I want you to just shift that line, right? So if your ruler is going straight across the page horizontally, or your tissue box, whatever, I want you to shift it up, right? So shift the left-hand side of whatever you're using to draw, shift it up towards the left corner of the paper by just a little bit, just like 1%, a smidgen. And then I want you to draw another line straight on the side of that ruler. And I want you to look at the differences between the two lines you drew. The first line from right to left, you're in the exact same place as you were today 3 years from now. You've made zero change. The second one is you made like a marginal change, a 1% change, a 1 degree change. But look at the difference in that line, right? Maybe at first it doesn't look like it separates, right, too much from that first line. But you look over the end of the 1 year period. You look over the end of the 2 year period. You look over the end of the 3 year period, and where you're at as you get to the far left hand of your screen, or of your paper, you're in a completely different place. That's what we're talking about when it's like that 3 years is coming no matter what. And you have two choices. You can be in the same spot you're at now, or you could be in a completely different place if you just get started. And getting started doesn't mean anything super, super drastic, but just getting started with a small change. And then obviously, if you continue to make small changes, not just that 1 degree change, but maybe you make a 1 degree change every day, every week, every month, right? Continuous improvement, Kaizen philosophy. That line you draw is going to be off the paper. And then if you want to take this to a bigger picture, add a different piece of paper. Draw out 3 more years. Where are you going to be at in year 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? You can look at this as the same as an investment curve, right? If you invest nothing now, you're going to be in the exact same place as you were before. But if you invest a little bit now, and if you consistently invest over time on a weekly basis, monthly basis, quarterly basis, when you look back 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years from now, right? Your equity curve is going to be in a much higher place, right? I guess obviously if you're making bad investments, but yeah, if you're investing in an index or something like that, those things will always go up. You'll be fine. The point is, right? Time isn't stopping. The future will be here no matter what. We cannot stop that, so there's no point in complaining about it. The question that you need to ask yourself is, since this thing is coming, where am I going to be when it comes? Am I going to be sitting on the same plane that I'm at now? Or am I going to take action now and put myself in a completely different situation? Because at some point you're going to have to look back and there's either going to be a frown on your face or a smile. I choose to smile. Hope you enjoyed the show. Sorry if the visuals didn't make sense. It's hard doing a podcast and I don't rehearse these things, but hopefully you got the point. Hey, if you have any motivational words or maybe things that you told yourself to get yourself started, because I know it's difficult for each person, do me a favor, leave it in the comment section below. If you're listening on Spotify for podcasts, there's a little place where you can kind of leave your thing. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can leave it in comments below as well. But I'd love to share what you guys do, what you guys say. That way we can motivate others, because that's the goal of this podcast, inspire, empower, and motivate. All right, until next time, plan your trade, trade your plan. Take care.